Evil does not always show its face. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift? A tension in the air that no one speaks about, a weight behind someone's presence that silently pulls the joy out of the space. You don't see anything wrong on the surface. They smile, they speak with charm, they even offer to help. But something in you hesitates. Something deeper than logic warns you. Because evil, when it walks beside you, rarely announces itself. It doesn't wear the face of a monster. It wears the face of familiarity. It cloaks itself in politeness, in subtle flattery, in well-crafted words. But what it wants is not peace. It wants control. It wants to drain your strength without ever raising its voice. In Stoicism, we are taught to guard the gates of the mind, to preserve our inner clarity above all else. And one of the greatest tools of defense is the ability to recognize what doesn't serve you. Evil is not always loud. Sometimes, it is so quiet, so calm, that it goes unnoticed until the damage is done. But it always leaves traces. It always reveals itself through patterns. Through subtle behaviors that twist your world from the inside. In this message, I will walk you through 6 red flags that reveal when the person next to you is not just toxic, but truly destructive. These are not just warnings. They are tools of survival. Because when you can see clearly, you can choose wisely. If you're ready to guard your peace, protect your spirit, and elevate your mindset, consider subscribing to Stoic Legacy. That single act helps spread this message to others who need it. Now let's begin. Red flag number 1. They twist the truth until you forget your own. It begins with the smallest distortions. They say something on Monday and deny it by Friday. You catch the inconsistency, but they laugh it off, tell you that you must have heard wrong, or worse, that you're being dramatic. You want to trust them, so you question yourself instead. Maybe you misunderstood. Maybe it's nothing. But it is not nothing. It is the first crack in the mirror of your reality. Over time, those little lies stack on top of each other until the weight of confusion breaks your sense of truth. They do not lie because they must. They lie because they can. To them, truth is not sacred. It is a tool, something to twist and stretch until it no longer resembles what it was. And every time they bend it, they are not just deceiving you, they are conditioning you to doubt your own memory, your instincts, your perception. That is the danger. Not in the lie itself, but in the way it makes you question what you once knew with certainty. One day, you remember a conversation clearly. You know what was said, how it felt, what was promised. But when you bring it up, they act shocked. They say it never happened. They accuse you of being forgetful, overly emotional, or even unstable. And suddenly, the battle is not about the truth anymore. It is about your sanity. That shift is not accidental. It is intentional. Because a confused mind is an easy mind to control. The more you second-guess yourself, the more power they gain. And in time, their voice replaces your own. Their version of reality becomes the only one you are allowed to believe. This is not just dishonesty. This is psychological warfare. It is the slow, deliberate erosion of your clarity. A Stoic knows that clarity of mind is the cornerstone of strength. You must trust your reason, stand firm in what you know, and never surrender your perception to someone who treats the truth like a game. Ask yourself honestly. Do you feel grounded around them, or do you walk away from conversations more confused than when you began? Do you find yourself explaining simple feelings, defending your own memories, trying to prove things you once knew instinctively? That is not love. That is not misunderstanding. That is manipulation. And you must not tolerate it. Because if someone can make you doubt the truth long enough, they can make you doubt yourself forever. You do not owe loyalty to someone who plays tricks with your reality. You owe it to yourself to see clearly, to speak clearly, and to walk away the moment clarity is no longer possible. Your peace depends on it. Red flag number 2. You feel like they secretly enjoy every moment of conflict, even when no one else does. You might not see it right away, but eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. While most people seek peace, or at the very least, avoid unnecessary tension, this person seems to thrive in chaos. Where you try to resolve issues, they stoke the flames. Where you seek clarity, they spread confusion. They don't just witness conflict, they orchestrate it. They plant small doubts, nudge people into arguments, twist innocent comments into weapons, and always position themselves as the misunderstood one. When emotions run high and people start to unravel, that's when they feel most alive. You'll notice the glimmer in their eye when drama unfolds, as if they're watching a fire they secretly lit. And if you confront them, they retreat into denial, claiming innocence, acting as if you're the one imagining things. They might even say they were trying to help, as they stand amid the ruins they caused. But deep down, you feel it. They do not want resolution. They want reaction. And every time you try to bring harmony, they find a new way to break it. The Stoics teach that external storms are beyond your control, but the state of your mind is yours to govern. These people know that truth, and they hate it. Because a calm mind cannot be manipulated. So they'll do everything they can to break your focus, to keep you emotionally off balance, to lure you into battles that don't belong to you. Think about it. How often have you left a room with them feeling heavy, unsettled, unsure of what just happened? How often have peaceful moments turned into arguments with no clear reason? That is not coincidence. That is calculated chaos. A person who delights in conflict does not care about your well-being. They care about power. They want to provoke, to divide, to dominate the emotional climate of every room they enter. And if you're not careful, they will drag you into their storm and blame you for the thunder. You do not need to match their energy. You need to recognize it. Set firm boundaries. Keep your inner world intact. And if necessary, walk away entirely. Because someone who craves conflict will never allow you to live in peace. Red flag number 3. You always feel like you're the one at fault, even when your soul knows better. It starts subtly, like a quiet fog settling over your confidence. You express your emotions, and they tell you you're too sensitive. You recall a conversation, and they insist it never happened. You bring up something that hurt you, and they laugh, shift blame, or dismiss your pain entirely. Slowly, your certainty begins to slip. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, questioning emotions you know were real, defending truths you once held with clarity. This is not miscommunication. This is gaslighting. And it is one of the most dangerous tools of manipulation an evil person can wield. They don't need to shout or control you with force. They simply chip away at your self-trust until you start relying on them to define what's real. Every disagreement becomes a maze. You remember something clearly, but they tell you you're mistaken. You feel confident in your memory, but they twist the story until you're left doubting your own mind. That's the goal. Not just to win the argument, but to make you surrender your voice entirely. A Stoic mind stands on reason, on truth, on the unshakable ground of perception. But gaslighting is built to shake that ground, to turn your reason into confusion, to pull you away from yourself until you no longer trust your steps. If someone constantly makes you feel like you're the problem, if you find yourself shrinking in your own presence, walking on eggshells, rewriting your emotions to make them more palatable, take that as your warning. You are not overreacting. You are not too emotional. You are not broken. You are being manipulated. A person who truly cares for you will seek understanding, not control. They will respect your truth, even when they disagree. But someone who uses guilt, shame, and distortion to keep you in line does not want love. They want submission. And you must never give them that power. Reclaim your clarity. Trust your perception. And remind yourself that anyone who needs you to feel small in order to feel strong was never worthy of your energy to begin with. Red flag number 4. They wear the mask of a victim so they never have to face who they really are. At first, you feel sympathy. They've had a hard life, they've been misunderstood, everyone seems to have wronged them. You listen, you support, you try to help them heal. But no matter how much you give, nothing changes. Their pain doesn't lessen, their story doesn't evolve, and the blame is always placed on someone else. The world is cruel. Their ex was toxic. Their boss is unfair. Their friends abandoned them. It's always someone else's fault. But behind that constant self-pity is a strategy, not to heal, but to avoid accountability. The more you empathize, the deeper you're pulled into their emotional gravity. You begin to feel guilty for drawing boundaries. You question yourself when you ask for space. Suddenly, their failures become your burden. Their bad choices, your responsibility. You start apologizing for things you didn't do. That is not compassion. That is manipulation. A Stoic does not run from hardship. A Stoic takes full responsibility for what is within their control. But a person who refuses to own anything never changes, because growth requires honesty. And the one who plays the victim endlessly is not seeking truth. They are seeking control through guilt. They cry when they're caught, blame their past when they're confronted, and flip every confrontation into an attack on their pain. If you speak up, you become the villain. If you step back, you are heartless. And so they trap you in their suffering while doing nothing to rise above it. Ask yourself honestly. Are you always the one sacrificing, explaining, trying to make things work? Do you feel drained every time you leave a conversation with them? Are you constantly tiptoeing around their emotions while yours are ignored? That is not love. That is emotional slavery. And you must break free. Because someone who uses their pain to control you is not looking for healing. They are looking for a prison where you become the caretaker of their dysfunction. You are not here to carry someone who won't walk. You are not selfish for choosing your peace over their pattern. Step back. Release the guilt. And remember that true strength means knowing when to help someone rise, and when to walk away from someone who refuses to. Red flag number 5. They never celebrate your wins, but they never miss a chance to highlight your flaws. You try to share a victory, something you worked hard for, something you're proud of, and all you get is silence, indifference, or worse, a dismissive comment wrapped in cold sarcasm. You put your heart into something, and they say you could have done better. You grow, improve, take steps forward, and instead of encouragement, you're met with critiques that cut deeper than they should. Over time, it begins to wear on you. You question whether your success is real, whether you're actually improving, or whether you're just fooling yourself. That's how it works. Constant criticism is their weapon. Not the kind that sharpens you, but the kind that quietly destroys your confidence, one piece at a time. They'll tell you they're being honest, that they're helping you grow, but deep down, you feel the truth. It's not about your growth. It's about control. A Stoic knows that external validation is fleeting, but even the strongest mind can be worn down by constant judgment from someone close. And that's their goal. To make you rely on them for your sense of worth, while ensuring you never actually feel worthy. They want you to keep seeking approval, to keep shrinking yourself, to believe that you're never enough unless they say so. And they will never say so. Because if you start believing in yourself, you won't need them. If you start feeling proud, they'll lose the power they hold over your identity. Ask yourself this. Do they ever truly lift you up? Or is it always a backhanded compliment, a comparison, a reminder that they're still better, more experienced, more deserving? Do they downplay your efforts, or worse, act as if you owe them for your success? That is not love. That is envy wearing a familiar face. And it is poison. You deserve to be surrounded by people who clap for you, who remind you of your strength, who speak life into your growth. Not those who cut you down because they cannot stand to see you rise. A Stoic holds fast to internal measures of progress. So protect your mind, honor your wins, and do not let someone else's insecurity define your worth. Walk away from anyone who dims your light just to feel taller in their own shadow. Red flag number 6. They feel nothing when you suffer, and that coldness slowly drains the life out of you. There comes a moment when you realize that no matter how deep your pain runs, no matter how raw your voice sounds when you speak your truth, the person next to you doesn't flinch. Not a tear. Not a pause. Not even a trace of warmth in their response. You could be grieving, unraveling, falling apart at the seams, and they will meet you with indifference. A shrug. A silent stare. Maybe even a smirk. They might say something hollow, like life's unfair, or worse, they'll steer the moment back to themselves, as if your suffering is an inconvenience to their ego. That is not emotional distance. That is emotional vacancy. And it reveals something deeper than a lack of sensitivity. It reveals the absence of humanity. A person who cannot feel with you cannot stand with you. A person who sees your tears as weakness cannot hold space for your soul. And that is the kind of person who will harm you without a second thought, because if they cannot feel your pain, they will never care if they cause it. The Stoics never taught us to be cold. They taught us to be composed. True Stoicism is not the denial of emotion, it is the mastery of it. It is the ability to remain present, to respond with calm strength and quiet compassion, even when the world is loud with suffering. But when someone shows you again and again that they feel nothing when you break, when they greet your storms with apathy, when they ignore the tremble in your voice and the weight behind your silence, that is not strength. That is cruelty. You deserve connection, not control. You deserve presence, not performance. And if you find yourself shrinking, hiding your emotions just to avoid their cold reactions, then you are not in a safe space. You are in survival mode. Ask yourself this. Do you feel seen when you open up, or do you feel invisible? Do they offer support, or do they act like your emotions are a burden they never asked for? That is not love. That is a warning. And the longer you stay, the more you lose the parts of yourself that still believe in empathy, still believe in kindness, still believe in being held without shame. Protect those parts of you. Walk away from anyone who treats your heart like noise. Because your ability to feel, to care, to hurt, to hope, that is not weakness. That is sacred. And it must never be placed in the hands of someone who feels nothing when they break it. The truth is, recognizing these red flags is not about judgment. It is about survival. Evil rarely enters your life wearing a mask of cruelty. It enters slowly, quietly, through charm, through sympathy, through 1,000 subtle acts that make you question what is real and what is not. And by the time you begin to feel the weight of confusion, the erosion of your self-worth, it may already be rooted deep in your life. That is why awareness is your greatest weapon. When you can name the pattern, you can break it. When you can see the manipulation, you can stop it. When you reclaim your clarity, you reclaim your power. You are not here to be drained. You are not here to carry the weight of someone else's cruelty. You are here to protect your peace, to honor your soul, to rise with wisdom even in the face of darkness. So if you saw yourself in any part of this message, I want to hear from you. Have you felt these signs before? Have you been caught in the storm of someone else's emptiness? Or are you still climbing out of it? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be the light someone else needs to recognize their own. And if you are on a journey of self-mastery, of spiritual protection, of learning to walk away from what does not serve your soul, subscribe to Stoic Legacy. That small act helps us grow, and it helps this message reach those who need it most. Until next time, take care of your heart, guard your mind, and never ignore the quiet signs your instincts give you. They are not paranoia. They are wisdom in disguise. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.